Hello everybody, welcome back to another Cars and Coffee. It is that time of the month again. The first Saturday of the month is here, and the sun is shining. There's no clouds in the sky, which means there's a ton of cars at the M1 Concourse Raceway. The selection was very impressive this time around. So let's start out strong and not a little bit short with the Italians. There weren't any old Italians like the Diablo or the 308s, but there were a whole lot of new ones like the F12, still one of the most beautiful Ferraris this side of 2000. I absolutely adore the F12. You don't see very many of them in person anyway, much less in Ferrari red, as it should be, unlike the 488 Pista, which was silver, which is fine. It's a good car, but, at least the Aventador was more suiting to the stealth fighter theme of the Aventador by being all black. So, once again, Lamborghini outscoring Ferrari in the showmanship department, but not a bad showing from the Italians nonetheless. We move on to Germany, the other Axis power, with, well, a surprisingly good list. The Germans, except for Porsche, generally struggle, but we had a lot of BMWs, this epic M3 race car, just as a small tidbit of it. Porsche was their usual excellent selves, with a whole host of 911 turbos and 964s, and no 930s, but there were some GT3s, including the brand spanking new one in 2021, in wrapped green. Nowhere near as good as the blue that it comes in from the factory, but still not bad. And then this fantastic 911 GT2 looking thing. I love the whale tail wing, but Audi really stepped up with the R8 and the RS6 Avant. I've actually never seen an RS6 before, because they weren't here in the US until this generation. Fantastic to see the super estate car, and just estate cars in general, The 3 Series estate car here, nowhere near as fast as the Audi, but just as good. Almost. We move on to Britain, though. And Britain, well, I was like some more classic roadsters, the Triumph, the AMG style, but there just weren't that many. I guess maybe a little too cold. It was in the 50s today. Either way, we had some Jags, like the E-Type in lime yellow. Yeah. And this, I think it's a Mark 1. I don't actually remember exactly, but it's a very cool one. I haven't seen it before. And a Rolls-Royce if you want more expensive and even less reliable than a Jag. Now, this is the one I really want to talk about. This is a 1986 Ford RS200 replica. I was so excited for about half a second as I walked up to this, thinking I saw a real RS200, and then it was a replica with an EcoBoost Mustang engine in it. Still a great car, still imported from the United Kingdom, but it was still a kit car. Yeah, my disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. So with that, we move on to the Japanese, and well, they were very much rally-focused. There weren't so many tuner cars, there were obviously a few, but there were a lot of rally cars. You sort of see it in the corner there with the Celica. We'll get to that one in just a second, but there were all sorts of things. Subarus, Evos, and yes, of course, the aforementioned Toyota Celica. Not quite the ST205, but still the GT4, so our equivalent of it, basically, with the super cheaty rear wing of Raisiness. There was also one of the coolest paint jobs I've ever seen on a car. The Subaru Impreza with this weird puzzle paint that looks like it took years to paint on. Fantastic looking car, and a surprisingly great lineup of rally cars. RS200, 911 Rally, Impreza WRX. Not a bad showing. But my favorite Japanese cars weren't rally cars. They were these sort of things. We had a GTSR Skyline with the 4-door, and a genuine right-hand drive imported from Japan. Look at the license plate. R32 Godzilla GTR. But this was actually my favorite. I love the GTR R32. It's iconic, it's legendary, it's awesome. But the auto exam is just so fun. The AZ2 with its gull-wing doors, it's great. I love it. On the other end of the size spectrum, there's this. The F-150s, both the Shelby and the Raptor, because 700 horsepower pickup trucks, or in this case, 9,000-pound pickup trucks are what you need. For a bit slower pace, you got the Lightning, which is classic as always, severely underloved. Even more severely underloved. Not the Bronco, The Bronco is iconic, and it's worth a crazy amount of money. I was talking about this. Yeah, the GMC Typhoon, fastest SUV in the world for years. Brilliant little thing. But we're here to talk about, sports cars and muscle cars. SUVs, those SUVs and pickup trucks aren't bad, but you want Vipers, you want Corvettes, you want GT Mustangs, you want all sorts of that stuff. There were a lot of GT special editions, both the GT and the GT Mustang are two different things. This is neither of those. It's actually the brand new Z06, which is surprising that there was a Z06 there, but there you go. But this is all going to be about classic cars. This was the theme. Ford had this was the Ford week, Ford month, I guess, show. So, as much as I tried to be impartial in my photography, whatever car piques my interest, I take a picture of it, there were going to be a lot of Fords in this one, and there were. Whether we have the 1969 Boss 302 parked next to the 1970 Boss 302, there were a few Falcons, there was a Fairlane 500, there was a very rare 1969 Shelby GT 350, which is an awesome looking thing. There were Salines, Rouches, you name it. Chances are it was in the center, matching the theme. There was even a new Mach 1 with the shaker hood, as it should be. The fact it doesn't have that from the factory is nothing short of a crime. There were also a lot of race cars in this one, especially the S550 race car was very popular at this show. This was a more unique race car, though, because it's a Lincoln Continental Mark 7 drift car. Yeah. That just means you can never give up on your dreams, because you can do anything. If a Lincoln Continental Mark 7 can drift with bright purple paint, you can do anything you want. They're also, on a much more impressive note, if not a little more sensible note, Shelby Cobra, Shelby Daytona Coupe, at least in the kit car form. And again, this was a carbs and cogs, so it wasn't just Fords. An awesome Challenger Daytona homage thing that I really quite like the look of. I know it's a bit controversial, but I think it's fantastic. Well, you don't see that very often, and I kind of love cars that are a bit weird. You don't see them too often. We had a lot of Chevelles, both the 327 and the 427 bigger brother, as well as the even bigger brother, SS454, still one of the best looking muscle cars. Don't at me, you know it's true, it's fantastic. And then we have the oddballs, as I like to call them, where they didn't really fit into a specific category. So we had the Dirt Racer single-seater from the previous show, and this thing, whatever this is, I don't know, but it has a Corvette rear end as a dashboard, and it's all coated in bed liner. It's crazy, it's dangerous, I actually kind of love it for its brutal simplicity. I don't know how it's road legal, but apparently it is. So yeah, this show was fantastic. I mean, sure, the RS200 being a replica still hurts me a little bit. However, even with that little lie in the bag, it was really good, whether it be the Challenger Daytona or the Puzzle Impreza. I thought it was a fantastic show, and if this is May, as the weather gets warmer, we're only going to see more.